Hello everyone. Before we get into the video, please watch this clip about the United Nations and think, who does this remind you of?
But if anything, the issue of sexual abuse seems to be even more widespread amongst the civilian personnel who work for the UN. In 2020, there were 165 allegations of exploitation and sexual abuse, 117 of which were committed by civilians.
The overwhelming majority of UN personnel who commit what they call sexual exploitation and abuse in countries around the world are not soldiers and they're not police. They are civilian personnel of the UN who are far more protected from any kind of police investigation or court proceeding than any soldier is.
All too often, it seems the internal procedures put in place to protect victims and investigate crimes are more designed to protect the UN's reputation than expose wrongdoing and punish perpetrators. And when whistleblowers do come forward, instead of being listened to and protected, they can themselves be victimized and silenced.
They eventually saw a door at the top of the stairs. We broke it in and found 7 young women. And at that time, I really connected and made the connection that something very drastic and horrible was going on in Bosnia.
However, when she brought this information to the UN contractor she was working for, they fired her. No one was prosecuted, but there seems to be a perceived fear that exposing cases of abuse will damage the UN's reputation.
Wow, first of all, I had no idea sexual abuse and crimes is so prevalent within the United Nations. But isn't it interesting how similar Watchtower is? Now, we all know the story of Watchtower riding the United Nation beast for 10 years, but then retracting their membership in 2001 due to the Guardian newspaper. Well, I always found it interesting what the circuit overseer said to Jimmy in this video. Take a look.
Might as well get right into it. I'll
tell you before you get started, I might not even have the answers for you right after.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'll do my best. And if I can't get you an answer now, I'll look into it.
That's all I want, because I mean, honestly, truly, up until December, let me rephrase that. I want what I've been taught to be true. Mm-hmm. If it's true, I move forward with that. Mm-hmm. If something's not true and it doesn't make sense to me, it makes it very difficult for me to go forward.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so, and I don't expect you guys to have the answers, because I know that when we're out in field service and someone asks us a question, hey, I'll look that up and I'll get back with you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
So, but I guess the first thing I wanted to address that I've not been able to get an answer for is the Watchtower's involvement with the UN from 92 to 2001. Do you guys know anything about that?
Well, I know that, to be honest with you.
Yes, yeah, please.
We're still involved with the UN. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, let's hear that one more time straight from this current circuit servant's mouth who worked in the legal department in Bethel for years.
From 92 to 2001. Do you guys know anything about that?
Well, I know that, to be honest with you.
Yes, yeah, please.
We're still involved with the UN. Yeah.
Wow. Why?
Well, I'll give you an example. I worked in the legal department at Bethel.
Okay.
And we had a convention in Kazakhstan in 2017, summer 2017. And 2 weeks before the convention, the Kazakhstan government breaks into the branch there. Guns a-blazing. I mean, not blazing, not firing, but machine guns, whole 9 yards. Show of force, heavily influenced, obviously, by the old Soviet Union, as you can imagine. And we were about to send, I don't know, 2,500 delegates into that country.
Right.
You know? And so, that's a lot of money that we're going to infuse into a small little country, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we talked to UN ambassadors. We need to make sure that if we're vouching for the safety, like this year we have how many international conventions?
There's several.
So, you know, for example, Sister Matthews and her daughter are at a convention in Brazil. We had to vouch for their safety. I mean, imagine, if I said, if I sent you, we're out in the territory, right? And we're in Charlotte. And I sent you into a bad neighborhood, right? All by yourself.
Yeah, I'm being.
Yeah. I mean, there would be a responsibility on my part. So yeah, to a certain extent, we have involvement with government.
Well, I appreciate that.
And the United Nations.
You're the first person that I've talked to that's actually come out and said something like that.
Yes, Circuit Overseer. But you see, the UN is the disgusting thing. It's basically Satan. So Jehovah is going to Satan for help. And if you notice there, he said, we sent 25,000 delegates in. That's a lot of money. So as you see, they're worried about their money. That's why they're going to the UN. Just like in Russia, they were worried about their properties. They're worried about their money. And if you remember when we went in service, they always said that Jehovah sent his angels to protect us. We were protected by the angels. So if this is Jehovah's organization, then he protects his organization. Jehovah wouldn't need to go to Satan for help because he protects his organization, unless this isn't really Jehovah's organization. Now I have some more evidence to show you. Remember how the Watchtower has many companies and they go by many names? Well, we know that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society retracted their membership in 2001, but Watchtower goes by other names. Here are just a few of the names they go by. Just like if you want to see what they put their money into, you have to look at the Henrietta O'Reilly Trust Fund, because that is the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. Well, let me show you why this is important. Okay, we're going to look at the UNDP IAPSO of 2003. UNDP IAPSO is part of the United Nations, and the United Nations is part of the World Economic Forum. If you are an organization or a company or a religion and you are a part of the UNDP IAPSO, and that's where you put your money, then you are supporting them and you agree with their standards and their belief system. So no matter what your religion tells you, or what they write in their publications, or what they preach to you from the stage, it means nothing if their money is going somewhere else. Now we're going to see how Watchtower is a part of this UNDP IAPSO, the World Economic Forum of 2003. So in this review, they also mention all of the companies that are a part of this World Economic Forum. And you can go look this up for yourself. There's quite a few pages, but if you go look it up, we need to look on page 30. And you can go ahead and go through this and read what their goals are, what their intentions are. They say our goal is to keep making a difference. But on page 30, we see a very interesting company that has given them money. Okay, so this is what I want to show you. And you can read all these things if you want, what they're into. This is the UN and what their goals are. And here you see the companies that are involved with them. And in order to be on this list, you have to accept these goals and these policies that the UN is putting forth. And as you see, when you go to page 30, you see all the companies that are associated with the UN and this World Economic Forum. And if you go down to the W's, you'll see something very interesting. Right there. Watchtower Society. 2 words. Watchtower Society. Now remember, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, they disassociated from the UN in 2001. But another company of Watchtower is Watchtower. 2 words instead of the 1 word Watchtower. So here we see the 2 word Watchtower Society is still a member of the UN, and this is a company that is giving its money to this UNDP IAPSO World Economic Forum in 2003, 2 years after Watchtower disassociated themselves. So as we see from the evidence from the World Economic Forum, and even from that circuit servant who said that in 2017 in Kazakhstan, that they had to go to the UN for help because people there came in with guns, and so they had all that money they sent into that small country, so they had to ask for help. So see, he even admitted that today they're still in the UN. But if you need proof, you can look at the World Economic Forum for yourself and see that sneakily the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society retracted their membership, but they're still members under a different name. That's a legal company of theirs, it's just different. Like Henrietta M. Riley or the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's Watchtower Society, 2 words. So they're being sneaky there.
In the late 1800s, the German Empire became the king of the North. That government brought its power and heart against the king of the South with a large army. Who became the king of the South? The alliance between Britain and the United States. He fought during World War I with an exceedingly large and mighty army. He swept away and humbled the king of the North. After Germany was defeated in World War II, the Soviet Union became the king of the North. It worked with the king of the South to put in place the disgusting thing that causes desolation, the United Nations.